And the discussion was on Off the Mic. In my company this evening, Kidi Mwaga, the convener, Interparties Youth Forum. Ivy Mushoki is the national coordinator of VAR 37/38. Angel Mbudia is the national chairperson of the Jubilee Party's Youth League, and Kasmuel Makore is representative of the Orange Party, or ODM's Youth League. And of course, dressed up in the symbolism of the party's colors, the orange, which represents the ODM party. So, Kidi, back to you.
Yes.
There is one fundamental thing that you cannot take away from the country's young population today. Their capacity to innovate, to think, tech-savvy, connected, urban, digital. Ideally, then, how can this be harnessed, notwithstanding the different political party belongings, that 2027, then therefore for them, for us, me included, represents the transformation on the borders of the country needed, and how this largely then will naturally phase out the old political establishment, the old guard?
I thank you for that question. One, remember that by 2027, the projection is that we are going to have about 11 million new voters, first-time voters. If you add that number to the number of the young people who have sought change over and over again through the ballot, I think that the coalition of people seeking change is going to be bigger than the coalition, any other coalition, but most likely bigger than the coalition of those who are seeking to maintain the status quo. Today, in the age of Internet of Things, it is said that AI is going to mint more billionaires in 5 years than the Internet was able to generate in 20 years. That speaks to the capacity of this generation to innovate, as you rightly put it. So one of the things that I think this generation is keen about is that then, and they must help achieve, is that how do we ensure that we use things like generative AI to make not only, get more young people involved in this process, but make sure that we materially put a material dent on both misinformation and disinformation, which are old tools in politics, but which also have a potential of being used in the day and age of Internet to undermine youth participation. So I think that is the place where we start.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is that a trajectory, coming to you, Angel, that should be adopted by the young people, notwithstanding the fact that political party belonging shouldn't be hindrance?
I think that the young people of Kenya, when we go to heaven, we need a special place because we need to rest first. We have done so much.
So far.
And we got the great marks that we were told to get. We were told education is the key to success. And we took education seriously. We stayed in school. We stayed focused. Only for us to come here and find that the keys, they changed the lock and it no longer works. And we are seeing young people doing so much with technology that it is even threatening all other spheres. When we look at young Kenyans doing exams for people in Harvard and the other institutions across the world, and it's a whole documentary, and you can see that the young people of Kenya really put themselves ahead. They really do the work, and it's just that they don't have the opportunity. When we talk about retirement, we want to say that retirement needs to be reduced to 59 or to 60, and we are starting to work at 40. Is when now you're getting your first job that you actually went to school for. In other progressive economies, you find that at 23, at 21, a young person is already in their law firm of their dreams, or in their accounting firm of their dreams, or starting something that they love. By the time they're getting to 40 is when they're actually thinking of retiring. And I think the phrase, life begins at 40, does not apply to our generation, because that is where now we need to start thinking about our welfare, and the problems just become even more. And I think that when we look at social platforms, digital space is one of the spaces where we can accelerate or make the gains that we have not been able to over the years. When we talk about monetization of our social platforms are not as monetized as other progressive countries because someone in a different part of the world can conveniently make an income from just tweeting and Facebooking or even doing vlogs and even updating on YouTube. Kenya is not in that spectrum, and it is locked out of the entire ecosystem of monetization. And I think that's something I would think the government would be very proactive in. It's not telling influencers on TikTok that if you blog about avoidable housing, then we are going to remunerate you. That's not the way to go. There's so much that can be done on the digital space that the government of Kenya is simply not taking advantage of. And the young people of Kenya are very ready. They have the wit, they have the energy, they have the time. And now we no longer even want jobs of 8 to 5. We just want where we can clock in, whether we're clocking during the night or during the day, we choose what time we do it because we're in the 21st century and we cannot afford to go the way we have always been doing things from time immemorial.
Yeah.
I think things are different now. And I think that even when you're talking about political parties, now political parties are looking for the young people in digital spaces. We have a lot of conversations in Jubilee on how we can engage more young people on digital spaces. And that's the avenue that we are going to have. Okay. Even the next election, when we look at it, the previous ones have been on, some have been ethnicized. The last one was about classism, the dynasties versus the hustler. The 2027 election will be about the intergenerational victory or intergenerational conflict. And that is where the government does not win. And that's where you see a lot of conversations coming up on tribalism. And the Gen Z were very clear. We are partyless, leaderless, and we are tribeless. But when you see tribal connotations on social media, especially, that this one is a Kikuyu, so you don't like, you must have a Kikuyu. Those are very dangerous connotations, and I believe that that's government propaganda, because that's one thing that the Gen Z revolution cures, that we can come from different tribes of this country, different parts of this country, and we can have one mission and one goal, and that is giving the government of Kenya sleepless nights.
Yeah, and Kasmul, is that then the cause of worry for the present administration, because it's now meeting with the consequences of an educated Kibaki's kids, the generation that has pushed it to the wall courtesy of raising issues that even the president appreciated were now about pushing the country on the path of prosperity, not about ethnicity and discussing political figure A or B or C. Is this then, or does this mark the idea that the current political establishment sees this as the major threat to its existence post-2027?
I think so. The question is self-sufficient. It could end with a full stop instead of a question mark. But if I were to enhance it as a product of free primary education, we need to understand, and just as a young person, there's something called game theory. And game theory, in broad strokes, assumes that life is a series of strategic interactions. Of course, I'm defining it kindly. And in the electoral sense, the voter, the media, the party lead, the parties, the contestants, even the protester, all seem to anticipate each other's moves. And but there's a weird thing that is introduced, which is democracy, which introduces values. And the values are the constraints that we need. And in my studies, there's a scholar called Wittgenstein who said chess is a game of constraints. Chess, the game that liberates our minds, what is it? It's just a bunch of constraints. It tells you that a bishop will only move diagonally, a knight will take L's, and you cannot capture a pawn under certain circumstances. I could go into the nitty-gritties, but those constraints are the ones that liberate us. Because young people, we're not saying that we are opposed to rules. No, we want the constraints that we are dealing with are the constitutional constraints. And you'll see the outgoing political class is very heavily trying to push us to the backward degenerative tribal or ethnically organized politics, where you'll find that whenever someone stands, all they want to do is parade other people's wives to show their derriere to the crowd, is to ask, to parade women. The body politic of the woman, which has for far too long been taken as though it is cheap fodder for people's entertainment. Then on the other side, you find somebody else throwing money at every problem. On the other hand, you find a person saying that a country is a country of shareholding. But the young people are saying that regardless of how much you mobilize, we refuse and reject that idea. That if you do not come to us with a solid ideology, and that's why even you can if you're talking about voter registration apathy, is because the people who are calling themselves opposition right now are intellectually lazy to the point where the young people are not inspired enough to get a wave that is going to drive them into a particular basket. And that's why, even for me, when I keep on being an avid apologist for the Orange Democratic Movement, the time has come for us to state categorically and very clearly what we stand for as a party, apart from our party leader, His Excellency the Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. What do we stand for as a center-leftist party, as people who believe in social democracy? What are our economic frameworks? What do we believe in terms of a social safety net, so that the people can weigh us against our words?
And is this a welcome conversation within the Orange Party?
It is, and I say this, that's why I'm speaking about it here in the media. I'm in constant communication with the party leader, I'm in constant communication with the party chairman, Governor Gladys Wanga. I'm always speaking with all these people, and if you think about it, currently in the bicameral house, the Orange Democratic Movement is responsible for the most vibrant leaders, and no shade to any other political party. We have leaders like Babu Owino, we have leaders like our Secretary General Sifuna, we have Senator Crystal Asige, we have Senator Rene Mayako, we have Senator Eddie Okech. There's so many, they're innumerable. And if you think about it in terms of this being a welcome conversation, people might wax lyrical and ye and haw, but even in terms of nomination, we have a certificate that has been issued to a 27-year-old. This is a showcase of goodwill that the party is willing to invest in the next generation. We might have qualms and whatever, but this is a sign that if we are vigilant and if we are aggressive enough, these are things which are easily realizable. So these conversations, the D in Orange Democratic Movement stands for the democracy, and I have not seen a party that has welcomed so much contradictions, and it sharpens itself based on the amount of contradictions it receives. Even the people who criticize, they do not leave the party. They criticize it to enrich the conversation around the party. So I think we are ready, and I would urge other young people, if you want to join a progressive movement, join us. But if not, and you found other political parties, let us go away from this politics of these old people who want to insult each other and show each other bodies. Let us say that I disagree with Angel, not because I disagree with her party leader. I disagree with her because on the principles of social welfare, we are not aligned. On the principle of workers' rights, we are not aligned. On the principle of privatization or state-owned resources, we are not aligned.
Okay.
If we take our politics there, it will take away the violence, it will take away the corruption, and we will have the country that we fought for, that we exercised Article 1 and Article 37 last year for as the Gen Z.
Okay, and Ivy, is this the perfect time that the VAR should come in?
That's a very good question. And I really like that, because the truth is we must acknowledge the moral question is there are systemic barriers that have been developed for the young people. The exclusion, the social exclusion, the right to food, the right to healthcare, the right to systems that actually work. And that's why the Gen Z went to the streets in June 25th last year. It's because these are things that they're supposed to be given, but the system is too corrupt. It's too individualistic. And we need to now start thinking, how can we be able to benefit and better our people? How can we be able to actually push our people going forward? Article 43 of the Constitution gives us that narrative. It gives us that prevalence. Everybody, right to healthcare, right to food, right to good housing. These are systems that actually need to be there. And the Viable Alternative Republic is offering that solution. We want to sit down with these young people and ask them, what is your plan for the next Kenya? How does the next Kenya, how does the viable alternative Kenya look like to you? What is the next Kenya like to you? What do you want to see changed in the next system of government? Do you want to see maybe more young leaders? Do you want to see more AI tools that can be able to actually generate more income for you? What is it exactly that you want that can actually set precedents for the next generation to come? And I believe that the Viable Alternative Republic is that solution, because it was born in the Gen Z riots last year, and now it has come to fruition. And that's why we are trying to say that as the young people, you're able to actually form a body, form a system, form something that actually helps you to move towards the next system of government. I believe that the Viable Alternative Republic is that platform, and it is the future, and it is the voice of a generation. And I'm glad that I'm spearheading that nation.
Yeah, and Kidi, are young Kenyans, 4 of you included here, practically outpacing yourselves? You are in the Bundestag, the German parliament, with the representatives from the Interparties Youth Forum.
Very good.
Ivy was at the climate conference in Baku, Azerbaijan. Angel has been to the United States of America, to the Netherlands for engagements majorly on politics and governance.
Yes.
And the orange man here has been to Brussels. And also to Germany and America as well.
Yes.
So what does this tell us about this generation in terms of their scope of thinking and how they want to be governed?
I think that one of the things we have appreciated very intimately is that Kenya is going to be a central player in the emerging world order. And when I talk of the emerging world order, this marks the end of unipolarity as we knew it, and a lot of countries are now emerging. One of such countries is Germany, particularly Germany as the leader of the EU. So as young people, as emerging leaders, we are deliberate to interface with our peers across the globe to make sure that when we get the opportunity to steer this country, then we not only learn from the mistakes of our predecessors, but we are also ready to interface with the emerging leaders from other parts of the world and make sure that Kenya does not play second fiddle, not to any state, not to any interest. So I think that the movement you have described, my brother was in Brussels, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And he speaks fluent French.
I was telling him that I've always loved his English,
yes,
but on account of his French, I will be buying more regular coffees so that we take coffee together.
Thank you, my brother.
So when we move left, right, and center, we'll go to a country like Germany. And I started by speaking about the threat of extremism. The threat of extremism is a potent threat to democracy all over the globe. If you look at the US and how MAGA has snowballed into whatever it is, you go to the UK and what started as Brexit and how it has snowballed.
The Reform Party by Nigel Farage.
Yes. And now if you go to Germany, there is the other...
The Alternative for Deutschland.
Yes. Yes, AfD.
Yeah.
So when you come over here, you also still see the idea that, and there is this, how political extremist forces oversimplify political solutions. I come from a place where I believe that we can still achieve transformative political change without falling prey to the seduction of the oversimplistic solutions offered by political extremists, either in the political right or in the political left.
Okay, so when we get back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last break, by the way, so it's going to be full hog thereafter.
Okay.
Then we expound that.
Yes.
Given what's happening and the global political alliances, you have talked about the hawkish Republicans under the armpit of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the long list, the Alternative for Deutschland.
And Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
He told us that FAFO.
He seems to be wanting fit generals in the U.S. military, but the president is not a featherweight either. So we'll talk more about that, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back from the break. Of course, pointing to post-2032 for prosperity and how to course-correct some of the previous challenges that we have encountered. Certainly, this is a great country, but we need solutions going forward. After the break here on The Bench, stay tuned.
Friday, 10 p.m.
Unajua ni kudunda kudonjo. Bigger statue. Salam kwa. Like people, are you ready?
kufa juu. Kila mtu hapa ndani kufa juu.
E for the energy.
B for the power.
Say E for the energy. Unaweza niita media messiah Skombora.
Cause Africa's mega hype man. Good man.
10 over 10 every Friday from 10 p.m.
Riba lukumpia lukuni piam 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 lukumpia lukudiri diriba lukumpia lukuni piam piam lukumpia lukudiri diriba lukumpia lukuni piam.
It's big, bigger than you can imagine. It's massive. It's the biggest jackpot. Shabiki Super Jackpot Sahini 100 million. Yes, predict 17 games na 99 bob na ujishikie 100 million. Bonuses ni from 13th correct prediction. Na ukipata zote wrong, usiwori, bado kuna bonus. Hii ndio jackpot. Shabiki Super Jackpot is now at 100 million. To play, download app ya Shabiki on Play Store or SMS SJP to 29063.
Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. Not for persons under the age of 18. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by BCLB. License number BK 0001080.
The strike shall commence on Wednesday.
Have you seen any money? No. Have you seen any money?
We should see what this is all about.
Somebody cannot come up with cooked data and he wants to insist on it.
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission, on the other hand, has disputed these claims.
The motto of this strike is Tunamalizana.
What do you call that?
What's happening in Kiambu is not a healthcare crisis. It is a governance crisis.
So what are you bringing to the table?
And what is the response of the county government mandarins? They are busy disputing figures.
What do they ever learn?
Mambo ya Kiambu hayaongelewi kwa hizo ofisi zenye watu wanaenda kupanga watu kupeana pesa ati ndio hadithi zitolewe za uongo.
What is so difficult about dialogue?
News Gang every Thursday at 9 p.m. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. The bench this evening is populated by the presence of Kidi Mwaga, Ivy Mushoki, Angel Mbudhia, and Kasmuel Makoure, who is celebrating the ODM party's 20th birthday, and in so symbolic way by putting on the attire to represent the party itself. And many thanks for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you, Kasmuel, given what we have talked about, how then does also 2027, by all standards, the indication are that the elections in 2027 will be historic, and Parliament could barely be bearing the bulk of the consequences, given how the MPs have conducted themselves. But does it also mark a paradigm shift in ideology and policies and how we question governance and how we do the business of politics in Kenya?
I think it does. 2027 is going to be a pivotal election in our country. It's going to be what I would call an ontological moment, in the sense that the tenor of the country is that we want change, and we're ripe for a different sort of governance and leadership. And even in terms of ideals, you see the young people moving to more leftist ideologies in terms of practice. They want healthcare to be socialized. They want certain functions of basic human dignity to be socialized. And that's why I keep on, I'm very proud of the party as Chama Kubwa turns 20, that because we have been in the struggle for 20 years and championing for social democracy, I think the awakening is leading us towards more leftist principles. However, I also need to remind people that success is a function of access and information. So we have to also arm ourselves with education, arm ourselves with the necessary tools apart from the voters, from the voters card. We need to ensure that we can even be there to guard the vote. So this represents there's a paradigm shift that is definitely going to happen, but we also need to focus on the legislative house, because in all honesty, Parliament is the weakest link in our country. I think that is a thing which we seldom focus on. We've decided, because the buck stops with the president, we've forgotten this animal that's called Parliament. Even if we get an angel to become the You must forgive me. Yeah, you must. Please forgive. Many sincere.
He may have meant the biblical angel.
Many sincere apologies to the Jubilee Party. If we get a good man.
Woman
or angel to ascend to the presidency, and we have a parliament that is out of touch with the people, we shall find ourselves in this precarious situation. If we still find ourselves with a parliament that passes all sorts of laws, trying to curtail the rights in Article 37, trying to just pass all sorts of flimsy laws, that president cannot deliver if we do not have a good parliament. That's why I keep on telling people, if we as young people can organize ourselves in political parties and claim parliament, we occupied it last year as outsiders in 2024. If in 2027, I can see all these panelists sitting, could be across or in the same aisles in parliament, then I shall say that we have been on the mountaintops and our dreams shall be realized.
Yeah. And Angel, has the House or the bicameral setup of our parliaments, is it weak, as Kasmel points out, or the House has set itself up for gross failure?
I think the Parliament of Kenya is a big disappointment to the people of Kenya. I think that when we sit back and ask ourselves, when the Gen Zs had to die outside Parliament and their brains spattered outside the lawns of Parliament, and you ask yourself, does it have to go that far? It's because Parliament has the mandate to check our systems, and it's not doing it's not doing rightly so. It's been pocketed, and when we talk about sending this administration home, one thing that we can point out is by being impeached in Parliament. So when you talk about a Parliament that is not able to do that, we cannot. No Gen Z thinks about impeaching the president, because you can't do it. The Parliament, as it is in his pocket. They are doing the job of the executive, and that's something that we need to be careful of, because it doesn't matter, as Kasmel says, whoever is president, but Parliament and even county assemblies, they are very important entities in our democracy, and we are not taking them seriously, because when you look at members of county assembly, out of the 1,700 elected, about 300 were young people that were elected in 2022. And you see even the numbers in tens in the Senate and in Parliament as well. So I think these are opportunities that we need to take them up seriously, and we need to send intelligent and forthright people to Parliament, like maybe this panel would do very well in a Parliament in 2027. And that's why we need to run for these offices. Like, I'll be running for the seat of Kiambu, women rep. And we in my village, we talk about togeges, electing people who cannot even debate Edwin Sifuna in Senate, or debate other brilliant minds, Babu Owino in Parliament. We need to elect people who can be able to communicate issues properly in Bunge, because we don't see that representation. And that's why I'll be offering myself for that, and I hope my colleagues will be doing that as well. And we'll be able to take that conversation back home. These brains that we have, and when we say we have gone to all these other countries, and they keep asking us, why don't you stay here and don't go back home? I'm like, no, what are you telling me? I've been educated by Kenya's taxes. I need to take it back home. It cannot be brain drain for me as well. We need to get our brains working. And even when we are looking at the 2027 election, we are looking at a situation where we need a united opposition, a coalition. And I still think that it's very early for our political journey to talk about coalitions and united opposition or disunited opposition. I think it's time for political parties. Jubilee Party did its NDC about a week or two ago on 26th of
September.
Of September. And we talked about how we fought, because we were the first casualty of this administration, because we were told we were coming from one courtroom to another, one political. We have been taken through issues. Are you in Jubilee or in Jubilee for the past 3 years? And it shows how democracy is muzzled in our country, because when you muzzle a political party, you're basically muzzling a country, because when Jubilee cannot speak for the youth of Kenya, another party cannot do the same, then you see the Gen Zs going to Parliament, because the systems are not working. So we need to ensure that now is a time to build our political parties. It's time to build Jubilee Party. We're going back to the grassroots. We're going to be engaging every young Kenyan who is interested in working with us and walking this journey with us. So it's still very early to talk about who is working with who and where.
Yeah.
What I would advocate for is that young people come together and support each other in running for office, support someone who is running for office, who is a young person, and also run for office as well. Because if I go to Kidi's constituency and support him there, he comes to mine and we work together that way, we'll be able to even beat this aspect of elections becoming too costly, too expensive, being mad by the oligarchs, as you mentioned them. So I think that as a united force, we'll be able to do so much more and make some significance in 2027.
Yeah. And Kidi, before Ivy, does this then translate, because under our current dispensation, the vast array of independent institutions that were born out of Katiba are certainly holding up under enormous pressure, Parliament included, and the other officers, of course. Do you think this culture of undermining state institutions as well will come to an end in 2027?
Well, I think before I respond to that, allow me, while of course relying on the wisdom of Michere Mugo, who says that in achieving Pan-Africanism, we must create liberated zones. When I had the good fortune one day of appearing on Daybreak, I told you that in young people establishing the liberated zones, one of the places must be Parliament. And I agree entirely with what my brother Kasmuel and Angel says, because the problem that this country is facing today was manufactured by the 11th Parliament. When they made amendment to the PFMA Act, then they went on a borrowing spree. That mistake was not corrected by the 12th Parliament, and the 13th Parliament has not addressed itself to it before broad-based and even now under broad-based. So it therefore means that then as young people keen to reclaim our country back, the place where that war must start is National Assembly and the Senate. We must make sure that we get as many young people in, and then in the spirit of peer accountability, be able to scrutinize the bills that will be leaving the House to go for presidential assent. That said, then now I come to the question of the collaboration of young people. Part of why some of us particularly are not very enthusiastic about what you call opposition united or opposition amalgamated is because of what my sister has said very eloquently, that people who are, would-be alternatives are distracted by very trivial things, including the health of a leader. We know we are all mortal men and anything can happen to us. So that then it is incumbent upon young people, allow me to quote Chinua Achebe by saying that we are not the children of Kenya. We are the parents of this country. For we are the generation that history has charged with the responsibility to birth the Kenya we need. In birthing the Kenya we need, that is the collaboration that Angel is speaking about. We have attempted to achieve that collaboration already in first stages, but we are going to balloon that collaboration by making sure that no young voice is left behind. Because while the streets, we have learned that Article 37 is effective, but it is not effective when it is exercised in isolation. It is not an end in itself. It must be used responsibly as a means to an end. As part of means to that end, we must then now invoke Article 38 that my sister Angel speaks about, Ivy speaks about very eloquently, by making sure that young people register into political parties. And now the question is, why political parties? We must remember that political parties are the vehicles through which political aspiration is transmitted into an opportunity to govern. So then the young people must identify with their political parties. Then we must ensure that we get as many of us, whether you are center-left or center-right, into National Assembly. There we can then agree, because we are already collaborating outside, it would be easier to collaborate inside and make sure that we send logical bills for ascension to make sure that we have our country back.
Okay, and Ivy, then the question of providing that much-needed hawk-eyed view of this entire debate.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I want to just start by saying, from a quote by Frantz Fanon. It's one of our first episodes on our podcast where we talk about, he speaks that each generation must out of obscurity either break that generation or either forge forward. So here we are in an intertwination of generations trying to figure out what next for Kenya, what next for the continent, what next with regards to how, with our children, you know, because at the end of the day, we are trying to forge a generation for our children to come. And as I said, giving it a bird's hawk eye view, I believe that the time is now, the sentiments are fresh, and I believe that the young people have the right solutions and the right end game to be able to actually forge forward this country to the next regime. I believe that 2027 is not just going to be a paradigm shift, but it's going to be a token of appreciation for this young people that we have, which constitutes 75% in this country. And I believe that these young people now will have a voice, and these young people now will understand the right to vote, the right that what your card holds, that is not just a vote, that is your right to actually be engaged in the electoral processes of a system of a country. And I believe that with that being said, we actually have to now start looking at different ideologies that can be able to drive the change in the country, different systems. But if you ask me, I believe that the pure presidential system for me does not work. So if we can be able to actually come up with systems like pure parliamentary systems, I believe these are the solutions that we can actually table in Parliament and say, why not do this rather than this? And that's where VAR comes into question. So I invite each and everyone here who would like to join VAR to be part of us, to give us this kind of solutions to make our parliaments and our systems much better.
Yeah, so we look at the feedback plenty.
Yes.
Sure thing.
Yeah, there's someone you had blocked.
Well, how many people have blocked?
How many are they?
You know, my phone is my phone, so you come correct, When I become a civil servant, I'll unblock them.
So, inshallah, by the grace of the God.
Yes.
So let's now sample the feedback. And that is from Alex Mayore, one of the young voices that we have also hosted here. My view, he says that IEBC should get creative to reach youths to go to where the young people are, which means work with influencers to reach the youth, make being registered as a voter trendy, go to concerts like the recent One Thames was performing register youth, it means at the entrance, that's one. 2 says, tell Kasmuel I'm kindly requesting to unblock that account, that I will make effort to look for him. We have T and declare truce. The future we seek for the country as young people is bigger than the differences we have, or political parties we do represent. And by the way, he had sent me a picture you guys had together. So you remember this picture of him?
Ah, yes. At the most recent dialogue that we had.
So in the aspect of magnanimity, will you unblock him?
Yes, I shall.
Before this general meeting.
This declaration in front of the nation that I shall.
Well,
this is a ticket to our coffee.
Okay, V. Wamboyo says, our conversation on voter registration should be made seamless, whereby we can allow legible voters to register anywhere instead of telling Kenyans to travel to their villages to register. IEBC Kenya must embrace technology. Even online voter registration can happen. Achok AJ says, the problem with youth is that we are not united, and those purporting to fight for the youths, at the end, they do it because of their own benefits. Nkari_Willie says, Gen Z, we are planning a day to go for votes, and why government support eye scanning, and it was against it during the WorldCoin. How does it protect human data? Angel, you support?
Yeah, I think we need to have it protected, even if it's anchoring it through law.
Yeah.
Because I think we had that issue, but we also saw, is it Somaliland?
Yeah.
Conducting an election, and one of their identification was using the retina. So that's something I think we need to explore as well. And even when we say that we want to maybe register online, maybe the other challenge comes with fingerprint and collection and all that. So I think we need to embrace technology more.
Okay. Orut Wasam says, please kindly tell those 4 young people to concentrate more in civil education to make counterparts understand who they should vote for and why. For example, Kasmuel is fully in ODM, deeply immersed in outdated policy we need to change.
I think that is what we are doing.
Yeah.
in terms of, as young people, we get into political parties to bring the vibrance. And when you see me here during these party colors and saying that we're going to Mombasa for our 20th anniversary Jamboree.
When is that?
It's happening next month, but we have football matches tomorrow and the day after for Shabana, Gor Mahia, and Ingwe, and then they will play against Chungwa. Part of what we're doing is we're trying to move away from the politics of violence. We're trying to move away from the politics of mudslinging at funerals or roadsides. We're trying to show people that the politics affects our day-to-day lives, that every young person, whether you have money or not, can participate in regular politics, and that's why we do these kinds of things. So I think I take it in stride that that is a person. For them to highlight that as a pain point means that they still have some faith in the Orange Democratic Movement, and I ask you to keep watching that just between this year and early next year, you will see radical changes in the Orange Democratic Movement as you've not seen before, of course, under the leadership of our party leader and the structure as it exists.
Okay. Next is from Octo_Kama, says, good governance isn't campaign promise. It's when the police, courts, hospitals and budgets serve citizens, not politicians. The new generation isn't asking to be included in the eating. We are demanding a Kenya where no one has to eat the system to survive. It's enough for everyone, but it's not enough for the greedy ones. And continues to say, we don't want theatrics, defections or token appointments. We want constitutionalism, safety and justice that doesn't depend on who you voted for. That's the Kenya we are building.
Beautiful.
On point. Yeah. Tala Jr. says, as long as we continue to throw garbage out of the car windows in traffic, cross busy highways while ignoring nearby footbridges or force our way into stadiums without tickets, we, especially the youth in Kenya, cannot genuinely claim to demand accountability from our leaders. True, change begins with personal responsibility. Without that, 2027 will be no different. All comes now to personal discipline. Yes, Ivy?
So I believe that that's actually very true, because the moral decadence in the country is not that great. And actually civic education and civil systems, they need to be improved. We need to understand what are the home values, what are the family values, what is it that you're taught from when you're young going up. They say in the Bible, teach them when they're young so that they may not depart from it as they continue to grow up. So I believe that the systems of structure from even the home need to change. What is it you're teaching your children? What is it that you're advocating them to do? How are you teaching them to be good citizens, to be social accountable, to not take bribes, to not be corrupt? What is it that we are actually showing our young people out there as in our homes? Because so that's how that by the time they get into society, these are the characters that they actually are bridged by in their workplaces, in the parliaments, in the what. So at the end of the day, it's about the home systems. What are we teaching our young people? Because this is a new generation, this is a new system. We are trying to empower our alphas, we are trying to empower Gen Zs, we are trying to say that there needs to be a system and a conversation that actually nullifies from the home. So the home must be protected. It must be covered under God. And that's why in the Viable Alternative Republic, in our commandments, the number one is one nation under God. Because at the end of the day, God is above all.
Yeah, I think on personal... Okay, go ahead.
I must, now that my brother has been reminding us that he comes from Orange Democratic. Yes. I must tell the people of Kenya, of course, that I come from the biggest party south of Sahara.
What about north of Limpopo?
Of course. Or should I say in the southern hemisphere? I sit in the policy desk, policy and legislative affairs desk of the Grand Old Party KANU, where we believe that a government should be small, where we believe in personal freedom, where we believe in free markets. I think that one of the things, part of why we are coming together under Manifesto Yetu is to appreciate that even if we were to work, we would have chosen to work together as young people only from political parties, under inter-parties. But we realize that that is not enough. Looking at the TIFA survey released about a week or so ago, that survey tells us that the most popular political party in Kenya is only at 16%. So it means so many young people and so many Kenyans are left out there who do not feel that they are at sync with what the political class are saying. We are saying that, and I am responding to the gentleman who said that young people need to work together and that we need to do civic education. Civic education is a target of us as seated here under Manifesto Yetu. Majority of them, we were with Angel to Fungamano when we were launching Manifesto Yetu. And Manifesto Yetu is a platform for us as young people from across the political divide, across diverse sectors, to come together and at the initial stage agree that what type of Kenya do we need? If we do that documentation because we intend to do it between now and December, then we get to layer 2, where we do civic education. Permit me to speak briefly about IEBC and elections.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So yeah, we'll finish up here at the best interest of time because of the feedback, quite, of course, lengthy. This is from Crispina Saddam, says, we must come to a level where politicians look at young people as potential leaders and not just as voters. The opposition should share the alternative solutions to current issues opposed to the focusing on just one term. So, Kidi, I'll give you that as your last word, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you had a point, so I had cut you.
Yes, the point was
that as a parting shot. Just as you prepare. Yes. @RMA_Kiberenge says the older generation of leaders must accept that a new generation is stepping into the political space. Leadership must evolve and be passed on to fresh voices who understand today's challenges. Sir Nixon Dugure says after the Gen Z's demonstrations, they surely sent very strong signals that they are forced to reckon, not just campaign influencers like they have been used before. Could programs like Nyota be there to tone them down and support government? Yes, Angel.
I think that things like Nyota, the first thing that comes to my mind is a bribe, because that is just voter bribery and using government coffers to do exactly that. And even when we're talking about opposition leaders not just saying one term, I think we are not here, we elected them to be able to serve us. So if it's not working, we'll tell them it is not working. And when we say it is one term, it is not our job to provide solutions to the current regime. The regime is paid by our taxes to be able to do exactly that. So when we even did the president a favor last year and putting him on an X space where we told him all the things that ail this country, but he listened and implemented none. And it came out clearly that for him, he advises his advisors on how to advise him. So who are we to advise the current regime? So I think that saying one term is crucial because we are going nowhere as a nation as long as this regime is in power.
Okay. Yes, Kasmo.
Is this,
on the Nyota program?
The Nyota program, I think there's a dialectic contradiction in the sense that the sentiments that have been raised by fellow panelists are actually valid, but I have personal bias, and this is personal opinion, that I am seeing a young person who's currently, it's one of the most fit appointments that should have been done at the beginning, where the State Department is being headed by a young person. Fikirini Jacobs is vibrant and he's selling the idea. I've sat down with him and I'm asked him what that is about. So I commend him on his work ethic and his ethos. But then, in all honesty, I would love to agree with my panelists that there could be better frameworks, because a lot of certain corners have said that Nyota is, for example, hustler fund, clothed. They could just, if we could have transparency around what this program exactly is, or where the fund is anchored in the Constitution, what it goes to do, because we already know that it seeks to empower young people with skills, upskilling, and giving them capital. Now, what we just need to do, if you want to, we go and show, anchor it on the Constitution, because it is a good idea being implemented by a radical young man who has done immeasurable things. And again, I would love to bring props to Chama Kubwa, because he comes from Chama Kubwa. And now what we just need to do as the tripartite is now anchor it on the Constitution, build the confidence of the Kenyans.
All right. Next is from Kabansora K. says, Ayub, those Gen Zs there are asking the Gen Zs to join legacy political parties like Jubilee, ODM, UDA, DAPK, Kenya, Wiper, etc. Just ask them, in the incoming by-elections, these four slated for November, how many of those parties have given tickets to Gen Z candidates?
The Orange
Zero, he says. Gen Zs need their own party.
The Orange Democratic Movement has issued a ticket to Boyd Were, who is 27 years old.
In Kasipul.
In Kasipul. Okay. So Zero, that one, I'd like to just fact check it, that I'm saying as a member of Chama Kubwa, which has been existent for 20 years, we have a ticket that has been given to a Gen Z. That is, I think,
that responds to him.
To rest.
And
yes,
for Jubilee, we are not really fielding candidates across the next by-elections. We're only fielding, I think, one in Narok, and I think just that one. So we are, like I said, we are building the Jubilee Party. It has just come back from a lot of legal battles. Now we are going into training and exciting young people for Jubilee. So in the next election, we'll definitely see more young people get into Jubilee running for office. And we're even waiving the nomination fees for young people in Jubilee Party. So I'm expecting to see so much more in 2027. That's our year.
Yes, Ivy.
If you ask me, I believe that civic preparedness is very important. And every young person, especially from the ages of 18, needs to be prepared for this mentally, physically, and emotionally. You need to understand what is your right, how does this actually help you going forward. So I believe that we are still not yet there, but there's still room for that civic education that we're actually now trying to project against. So I believe that even as the parties are continuing to form, and even other new parties that are coming, the one thing that needs to be instilled is the civic preparedness for our young generation, because this is a young generation that is very civic conscious, very civic aware, but they just want to understand what are the repercussions, what is it, what are my rights, what am I supposed to understand going forward, especially with regards even to vying. Do you even know what are the precautions when you're vying? You know, these are things that they don't still have to understand. So I believe there's still room for that, and we can actually take our time to actually prepare our young people towards going towards this cause.
Yes, Kidi.
I have to speak on political parties.
Yes,
because
please.
I am convener in the party. Yes.
And given the appreciation that most of the political party representatives today are offsprings of your party.
Thank you. Well, one, we must have, I think it was Thomas Jefferson who loved to say that on matters of principle, you must be as solid as a rock. And my name, by the way, if you translate my name, it means a rock.
All right, Peter.
He comes from Migori County. Yes. Kidi means stone.
Oh, Kidi.
Ayub, my faith teaches me that, and I know this might bring a problem with you, but my faith teaches me, the book of Nehemiah, that even when the walls of Israel was broken, Nehemiah did not desert Israel. He went back and rebuilt the walls. We must appreciate the role of political parties in a democracy. What is the problem with this country is our political software. If we do not need to change political parties, what we need to change is political software. People who ran away from KANU actually ran away with all the garbage, and they left as a very clean party. All the bad things people used to say about KANU, we have seen them replicating themselves elsewhere. If we changed our political software, we would not have had to run away from KANU. Young people must get into parties. There is no need of moving to other political parties, because then we must develop and inculcate our political history. I think that I would be so proud if someday my daughter emerges as the party leader of the Kenya African National Union. Yes. Away from the party, let me respond to the IBC question.
I'll give you that as your parting shot, okay?
Thank you.
Let it be known that...
Save the best for the last.
That Kidi has been given 2 parting shots. We demand.
Okelo Mwalimu says, if Gen Zs are serious about determining our governance landscape come 2027 and beyond, they must get out of their comfort zones and register as voters. This is a civic responsibility they can't run away from. They should neither be soothed nor mobilized to register. He goes on to say they must confirm that their struggle for good governance was and remains genuine, not cosmetic. They must be reminded that disillusionment isn't an option. Lastly, they should be reminded that elections are won and lost at the ballot, not through narratives. Crispina says again, we must come to a level where politicians look at young people as potential leaders. I think we had this, Monica. Yes. Again, Kabansora says, yes, we also had this. Yeah, Alex Mayore. So this is now what we have talked about. To unblock, that is from Alexia. I hope you have done that.
No, it will go through the inter-parties convener.
Okay. So the last one, Kidi can convene a meeting. He's a good convener.
Yes.
It's Wanzala Peter says, Kizungu iko hapa Citizen JKL ogopa. Ni kama kaskazini. Amebeba dictionary yote.
Member of the Youth League, that one, I think.
And the last one here is from... okay, that was the last one that we had, yeah. So who is welcome to the 20th birthday party of the party?
Everyone is welcome.
Angel, Kidi?
All of you are welcome.
They haven't sent an invite to the convener.
I am doing this in prime time news.
Okay.
People pay to be here. At the very least, to place an ad here on the floor costs nothing less than $500,000.
Yes.
And I am inviting all of you to the 20th anniversary of Chama Kubwa. It is, I think it is a moment for the nation to also reflect. There have several people, as you claim that people have come from KANU.
Yes.
A lot of people have gone through ODM, including Jubilee. It has been paid forward. And we are doing this as a jamboree in the sense we start with football, with all those things. But also in terms of democracy, we are seeing a shift in the Orange Democratic Movement. And I've broken a lot of laws, but there's one, the rule of threes, where you see you have Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you have the Holy Trinity, you have the 3-paragraph persuasive essay, and the 3 letters of the Orange Democratic Movement, the patronage of Raila Amolo Odinga. But in more serious terms, I think this is a moment for us to reflect and reconsider that when Comrade Sankara says that for us to change a nation, it requires some sense of madness. And Nkrumah in the West Africa tells us that the things that unite us are more than these things, the contradictions that have been imposed to us. And Comrade Biko from the South tells us all we need about revolutionary change, and we come back to back home. As young people, we are at a crossroads, and if we do not make the great march forward, if we don't take that great leap in 2027 and say that this is the Kenya we want, and outside of the slurs, outside of all these ethnic polarizations, I think we will have failed ourselves. But mine is to, as I close, is to assure the people of Chungwa Nation at 20 that His Excellency is well. Anyone who is speculating on the health of His Excellency, we shall amend the Constitution to make it a criminal offense. But I joke.
The party's constitution,
yes,
our constitution.
You know, the party is the country, but
well, that is internal.
Yes. But for that, I welcome you all to Chungwa Nation at 20. We've tumeandaa such an elaborate celebration, but mchukue kura, because if you don't take care, the way things are. Even if we don't go to registration, I can state without fear of contradiction that the Orange Democratic Movement will form government in 2027.
Yes, I do.
I think we are friends of ODM. I think we walked that journey, and when we were supporting Jacom to be president in 2022.
Yes.
But the company Jacom keeps today now is very wanting, and that's why we distance ourselves from him.
He's a friendly man.
But I think that as a generation, and when we look at political parties, they are establishments that have been, but we need to change that. We need to be the ones that take over political parties. My party leader, Mr. Kenyatta, said that the party is open to young people.
President Kenyatta.
She has no regret. She has no regards for president. She just calls them. She doesn't care.
This is what is draining our country. I mean, nothing elegant or honorable in some of the politicians that we see on our screens. So we did dignify them. But I think that we have an opportunity with the political parties as they exist. We don't have to reinvent the wheel as it is now, because there is nothing as difficult as starting a political party right now, even as in the circumstances that we are in. So find a political party that fits you. Welcome to Jubilee Party. And I'd call on young people across the country to take care of themselves, to keep fit, to drink water, to avoid toxic relationships, so that we ensure that in 2027, the one-term vote is intact.
Yes, I do.
So going forward, I'd like to just make an appeal to the young people that they need to start thinking in different kinds of systems. The great philosopher called John Locke says, cogito ergo sum. I am, therefore I think. I think, therefore I am. So you become what you think. So you have to be able to understand that there are this kind of systems that once you start to make your brain to understand that these are the systems I want, this is the new Kenya I want, what are the systems in the new Kenya? How can I be able to go forward with this? What is it that I can learn from creating a new Kenya in a new dimension? Because we are in the new dimension, we're in the new age, we are the chosen generation. And as the young people, we've been given the mandate not by just God, but even the generations to come to actually recreate the dimensions, recreate a new system that works actually for the country. And going forward, I actually want to maybe make a petition because I believe that the IBC actually should be able to make national identification cards a premier use when going to vote. You don't need to go the cumbersome way, because I mean, like, we're already using so much money on things that are not necessary. We don't have that money and the capacity. capacity. So the fact that you would have a national identification, that should be reason enough for you to be able to vote. So I believe that those are systems that need to work. And as VAR, we are actually going to petition in Parliament that the fact that when you turn 18, you need that voter registration, you need that voter ID. That's enough for you to vote. You don't need all these bureaucratic processes, this cumbersomeness, this tiredness. It's enough. We can use that money in other things. We can actually put it into healthcare. We can put it into food security, building job infrastructures. I mean, like, there's so much we can put into our country. And this is why I'm saying, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. How can we create a new way of thinking for the young people in this country?
Yes, kid.
It is actually René Descartes.
It's Descartes.
Yeah, René Descartes.
But also
and look.
So in the spirit of Interparties Youth Forum, I will honor the invite by my brother Kasmuel.
Thank you, my city.
The question of, as we head into 2027, Interparties Youth Forum and Manifesto Yetu and the young people of Kenya are saying that there is need of intelligent collaboration between the young people and the political competition management institutions. Yes. This is the National Police Service. This is the IBC, the Judiciary Committee on Elections. This is the IEBC. This is NCIC. This is EACC and ODPP. We are looking to collaborate with them as young people to make sure that structural barriers, anything that would stop young people from registering and participating in the forthcoming elections, we are able to remove them in the spirit of collaboration. Still on elections, I think that as young people, we must focus our eyes on the question of the technology. 2013, I have had the good fortune of voting for Raila Odinga in all the elections that have taken place since 2013. Every time after elections, we have gone both to the court and to the streets saying one thing, Fungua Sava. The question is, why have we as a country spent billions of shillings every election year, yet that technology has not been able to serve us? Because the Constitution says that the elections will be free, fair, and transparent.
And inclusive.
That now moves you to the Act of Parliament. At the legislative level, it says that that election must be transparent and verifiable. That transparency and verifiability is why we invest a lot of taxpayers' money in the elections. On the election day, the KIMS kit are either not working, the transmission either for whatever reason, now we have returning officers physically bringing the forms from 60, 34. From 34A and from 34B. So I think that the young people of Kenya must then be able to audit the question of technology in a manner of not only making sure that there is value for money, but also in the instances where people have taken advantage of their position in the name of procuring technology and obtained from the people of Kenya, we must go after them.
Okay. As it so happened under the chicken gets scandal.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was lovely having you. Appreciated. Always young voices to contribute to the growth of our great country. Kasmuel, much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Angel, appreciated.
Thank you,
Asante. Ivy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kiddy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And next time, hopefully, you can carry me along to the Bundestag.
There is a bigger collaboration happening this month as members of the center-right political parties. We are hosting the DUA, which is, DUA is coming to Nairobi. And the biggest party in the Southern Hemisphere, Kenya Africa National Union, will be hosting all those parties in Africa, all the center-right political parties in Africa.
Asante.
Part of what we are seeking to achieve is that we will commence the cultural revolution, because as the Sekou says, that every revolution is only complete if it is also cultural revolution.
And I appreciate your great company, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, Kipu Mwaga has to be informed that after they're done, they need to return that title Chama Kubwa, because next year, all left parties will be hosted in.
Next month.
Yes, next
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciated. Kiddy, Ivy, Angel, and Kasmuel. Always lovely. Pleasure to have your presence here on the bench. Many thanks for your time.
No, yes.
Asante. Now this country is young. Thank you so much for your time and lovely company. Always cherished, appreciated from the onset. The bench, as always, gives voices to those who contribute to the great nation building exercise in our country. Many thanks for your time. And I'll see you next week here on The Bench as well. Till then, good night and God bless you.